Hello and welcome to Doodles DVD, and this is Disney Classics number 19, The Jungle Book. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. 19 Disney films before I absolutely, positively, definitely remember some of the songs before rewatching it. But the thing is, in like the complete opposite from many that have gone before, that's about all I remember. I remember the characters, I remember the songs, but I've no idea what actually happens in the story. I'm racking my brain about it. I've obviously seen it enough to remember the songs, but there's just nothing coming. So does that mean that the story is fairly weak and it's the songs that are the memorable part of this one? Or is it just that my brain is pretty poor at recalling things from long ago? Probably that second one. Is Mowgli torn between the animal and human worlds? Is their habitat under threat in some way? They're just complete guesses that sound slightly plausible, but also are the plots from other things. So I don't know whether that applies here or not. So let's just get on with watching it and find out. Well, that was pretty fun, and it's easy to see why that was one of Disney's highest grossing films at the time. What I really like about this one is quite how chill and relaxed it all is. The pacing of the story takes its time, the characters are mostly relaxed and laid back, and the music's all a lovely sort of smooth jazz swing style. Which I guess means that even though at this point we're in 1967, this one we're finally getting things with a more 60s vibe, whereas everything came before seemed very much rooted in the 50s. But of course those styles don't match to exact decades anyway. Neither of my vague story guesses were quite right. I kind of more had stories like Bambi and Watership Down in mind when I was thinking about the man versus nature kind of thing. And while that sort of underlying here is not really overly present, you know, Mowgli is being taken to a man village that he doesn't really want to go to, but that's mostly just a very basic motivation to go on an adventure. It's not really the heart of the story. The heart is generally just sort of a more simple message about friendship. I do find it a little bit disappointing that after spending the entire film not wanting to go to the man village, Mowgli decides that yeah, he actually does it just at the sight of one girl. I mean, I get why you'd go for that. It's a nice simple ending, at least compared to what they originally have planned, which I'll talk about in a minute. But it just kind of also feels like Mowgli's too young to have his head so instantly turned like that. But yeah, there's a feature on the disc all about an alternate ending. In that, Mowgli gets back to the village slightly earlier in the story, and there would have been a whole bunch of extra stuff taking place over a much longer length of time. There's guns and fire and threats to set the jungle on fire and getting treasure and corrupt humans, and it's all a lot darker. And after reading a little more about it, I see that that's actually closer to the original Kipling stories. But apparently Disney himself thought that a bit too dark for their studio, and so we got the more lighter, kid-friendly version. They call it the alternate ending, and basically it's an alternate final act. But if the beginning had still been the same, that would have been a serious twist in tone partway through. So I've got to presume there is also an alternate beginning. They just didn't happen to mention that in the feature. But you know, these days we've got enough dark and gritty stuff. Sometimes you want something that's, you know, chill and relaxing and fun. And that's definitely what this is. Great songs, great characters, lovely animation, and just lovely. For me at least, definitely one of the best ones so far. What did you think? Tell me about that in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week with the Aristocats.